Welcome to Make It Happen Monday, my weekly nugget of healthy inspiration. So earlier this week, I was reviewing my past video tips as I was working on my upcoming Way Less for Life e-course, and I realized I have never done a Make It Happen Monday video on the perils of the great white hazards. Shame on me. Ridiculous. I mean, I was just shocked. So I've referenced them a little bit, but I've never dedicated a video tip to making sure you know how these foods do their dirty work in your body. First, let me remind you what I mean by the great white hazards. The great white hazards are those refined, processed, industrial, high glycemic carbs, namely white flour products, all the things made from white flour, white rice, white potatoes, sugar, and of course sugar and sweets, the things that have a lot of that in it, right? And again, I refer to them as the great white hazards. And you say, Dr. Ann, you got to tell me the great staple of the American diet. How could it be so bad for me? Well, we know. It's not maybe. We know that these foods promote weight gain, obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, dementia, and other things. But those right there are leading killers. You say, how do they do that? That's what I want you to understand here today. All right? What is the root of the evil of the great white hazards? How do they actually damage your body, leading to or increasing the risk of those conditions? Well, the first thing I want you to, there are two basic problems. The first thing, problem number one, is that their nutritional firepower has been absolutely decimated as a result of their processing. Okay? So I don't know if you know what they do to go from what comes from the ground in terms of whole grains like wheat groats or brown rice to example of whole grains to create these white foods. Well, they remove all the outer bran and all the inner germ, which is what happens to house, 80+% of the nutritional firepower, the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber, the phytochemicals. That's where those good things are that fight disease. So what's left is just this kind of a nutritional weakling. It's like there's really nothing in there. And the few things that are in these white foods, they add some stuff back, but you can't add back the phytochemicals. There are 150 bioactive beneficial compounds in brown rice, that's whole grain rice. In white, hardly, small handful. Okay, so that's problem number one. Problem number two is where it gets really scary. This is where I'm going to explain to you how they actually damage your body. So the root of the evil, of the damaging aspects of the great white hazards relates to their rapid and quick digestibility. That's simply laws of physics and chemistry. As a result of their physical and chemical structure, they're very quickly, very easily digested, which means shortly after you take in a great white hazard, your blood glucose level is going to spike up to an abnormally high point. That is not good. When blood glucose levels rise above a relatively low threshold, it begins to act kind of like a toxin in your body, and it starts to react with protein molecules. You get increased oxidation, you get inflammation, okay? And then the other bad thing that happens is if you get a spike of glucose going up high and fast, you're going to get a spike of insulin going up high and fast. I'm not going to get into all the details of what that does, but those two molecules, when those two things, agents, go up in your bloodstream, glucose rises up high and the hormone insulin rises up high, that's ultimately what triggers the cascade of all sorts of things that lead to increased risk of weight gain, obesity, heart disease, diabetes, certain cancers, and dementia. Okay? Now, the other thing I want you to know is how much you, maybe not you, but most Americans are still doing. These foods, these refined great white hazards, white flour products, white rice, white potato, sugar, and sweets, comprise 50%. Half of the calories currently consumed in America are coming from these nutritionally decimated, frankly, over time, kind of dangerous foods. Okay? That's unbelievable. That's crazy. 5 to 7 servings a day is what the average American gets of refined carbohydrates and sweets. Refined, okay? And the other thing I want you to know about this issue, it is the single greatest and gravest nutritional issue we have from a public health standpoint in America, is that people are consuming in a crazily excessive amount of great white hazards and not taking in the foods that should be replacing these things. Fruits, the good carbs, fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains. Single greatest nutritional problem we have in America, public health standpoint, consumption of too many refined carbs and not enough of the good carbs, fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains. So, you have no excuses here. You can do this when you can have all those amazing foods, beans, whole grains, think of all the things you can get now made from whole grains, all the different whole grain foods, fruits and vegetables. So again, no whining about this, just do it. Just do it, because you should care about your health. And if you're a parent, you should care about your child's health, right? All right, so with that, if this video, you found it helpful, then please share it with others that you think it may benefit. And then, of course, don't forget to tune in next week. Thank you.